Water, water, water. Top reasons that we're not drinking water the right way. So let's have a look at some of the popular reasons of why we're not drinking water the proper way. So mainly it starts off because I've been on a journey of discovery, and there's many things that I've discovered which I'm going to share in this video where I've had issues with drinking water, so I thought I would share them with you. And so what I've discovered, and so let's start. Let's start with one of the top reasons. One of the main main reasons is that we've been told for decades to drink more, drink more, drink more. Water, water, water. And so people are drinking more and more, which is great, which is great. And we're recommended to drink, according to the marketing hype, 1.5 to 2 liters. Now, what most people are forgetting is that you're taking in water from teas, coffees, juices, espresso shots, cafes. You're going to cafes even, well, maybe not in the lockdown, but espressos, coffee, teas, mint teas, herb teas, cappuccinos, every sort, hot chocolates, alcohol, water itself, in food, in showers. So there's a host of ways that you're taking in water, and that's not included in the marketing hype. So that's one of the main reasons people are, taking in a lot. Now, what happens is there's been a number of case studies where people have drunk too much water, and there's a condition called hyponatremia. And hyponatremia is basically low blood sodium. It's a condition that means you don't have enough sodium in your blood. So you need some sodium in your bloodstream to control how much water is in and around the body. And it can happen, this kind of condition can happen because of certain medical conditions, some medicines you might be taking, or if you basically drink too much water. And the case studies that I've been reading about is where people have drunk too much water too fast and drunk too much that they've actually died. So some cases have been less serious, but those are obviously the headline hitting cases. Now, let's have a look at another major reason why people aren't drinking water properly or right. Sorry, I just want to add to that, to the first reason, and that is something like when we're not mindful of what we're taking in, how much water we're taking in. And many religions, many people who follow a religion, lots of scriptures say that, like holy scriptures, ancient scriptures talk about that. Many traditions do that as well, basically where they say a prayer over the water or just say thank you over the water. I know of a cafe where they would basically give away, I'm not sure if it was food or something, and then they had to stop, but basically they would when people did a prayer over their food, they would give away free food or something. I can't remember what it was they gave away for free. But saying a blessing, many religions still do that, many cultures still do that. They say a blessing over their food before they drink it, and or food over before they eat it, and water over they drink before they drink it. Now, you might think that's all woo-woo and that's all new age and airy-fairy and whatever. You might not believe in anything or a particular religion or follow anything, and that's fine. The simple act of saying thank you, even like the Japanese do, they say arigato, and basically you're thanking, the farmers or the people who brought the food, and in this case, water. So you could be thanking the very people who work at the water industry, and clean the water, and the machines that people use and monitor to clean the water. So you could be thanking them. If it's you're getting your water through your fruits and veg, you could be saying thank you for the farmers. It's just getting you to be mindful of where the water's coming from and being mindful that you drink it slowly, and that's something we'll cover in a moment. But just saying thank you before you drink, another thing you might want to look up, and I can always pop a link down in the video, which is Dr. Emoto, a Japanese scientist, basically. He discovered by freezing water and putting it under a microscope, how water that has been had like really angry words or really hateful words said on it is the crystals are pretty like horrible and really like fragmented and broken and quite, yeah. He took water from holy sites. He took water from rivers, clean rivers, dirty rivers, and he took water from Hiroshima as well. And just looking at the crystals underneath the microscope, it's just amazing. He's also, you know, if you haven't watched What the Bleep, you might want to have a look at that. But you can also look at, you know, up his work and read about it. It's just amazing, amazing work that he's done. And it talks about like what you say. We're made up of like 85% of water. So language, what we communicate, what we say, what we feel is so, so important. And just imagine, you know, the words that we're saying to ourselves have an impact, right? If they have an impact on others and they have an impact on ourselves, just imagine what we speak over the water. And when we're talking about angry things or hateful things or, you know, stuff that's really quite toxic or not good for us, the words that we're speaking, then that goes into the water as well. And we're consuming that. Definitely have a look for Dr. Emoto's work. It's amazing. And if somebody else that I definitely recommend is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's also done a lot of work. We'll talk about that in a moment as well, about habits and, you know, the brain and, yeah, just doing things, different things, so the neural network of our brain is transformed. Okay, let's have a look at another way that we're drinking water wrong, and that is standing up or jogging or walking when we're drinking water. Now, what happens there is that the water falls literally into the stomach and it gives it a shock. So if you find yourself being gaseous or bloating or tummy ache or a headache or feeling a bit nauseous after you've been drinking water, then those are, and you know, joint ache and tension, and that's kind of what I found for myself. You know, if you've got arthritis and so forth, you'll find these conditions are increased by doing that. So sit down. Science also shows that sit down and sip water, like rather than gulp it down, which is one of the major causes of, you know, like joint ache and joint tension and muscle tension and arthritis, and headaches and bloating and feeling gaseous. Sit down and sip water, literally to put it into a cup rather than drink out of a massive litre bottle and just glug it down. Sit and then breathe in, swallow, mouth closed, swallow, and then take another sip and swallow, and then swallow. So what you're trying to do is not be talking whilst you're drinking and gulping down air, which will just, you know, increase in the stomach, right? Because your stomach is literally this big. It's about as big as your fist. So there's only a certain amount it can hold, okay? So 1/3 is air, 1/3 is water, and 1/3 is for food. And what happens is when it hits the stomach, it's like a shock. And basically what you're trying to do is decrease air into there so you don't feel gaseous, so you don't feel bloated, so you don't feel like a ton of air in there. And so joint ache and muscle ache and headaches and feeling nauseous, okay? Another way that we're drinking water wrong is basically drinking cold water. Now, why is that a problem? Cold water actually shrinks the blood cells, okay? This might not sound like an issue, but it's pretty dangerous. So what you want to do is drink water. And now this water has been sitting in the sun. And it doesn't have to be, okay? It can be just water at room temperature. And I know it might be really hot, right? If you go to China or Japan, you'll often find people drinking room temperature, or they won't give you cold water. You'll have it warm or room temperature water. And that really is so that the body doesn't get shocked, right? You don't want to shock the body in that way, because it's quite harsh, right? You wouldn't want to stick something hot on yourself, so you wouldn't want to do that either. So sit down, sip your water, and drink it at room temperature, so you don't shock the blood, and you don't shock the stomach, right? And you'll end up it's more than likely, which is what I've done in the past, believing into the marketing hype, drink cold water, ice creams, and so forth. And you're standing up and you're just eating on the go, which actually puts a lot of stress on your body, right? We're not made to be standing all the time. And it's good to just sit. It's good to sit and drink your water and make it easy for the digestive system and easy for the water to flow to the stomach. Okay, and so it doesn't have this massive impact as it hits the stomach and the nervous system, and the in the body. Okay, and so it doesn't shock the nervous system. Okay. Okay, so let's just expand. Another way that people drink water the wrong way is, as I was saying, gulping it down. So, excuse me. Basically, put it into a cup, or a bottle or something, or a smaller something. It's best that you put it in a cup, to be honest with you, rather than bottle and walking. So sit and drink it, and breathe in between. Don't breathe onto the cup, okay? Because scientific studies show, and again I can link one of those in the bottom of that there are many harmful effects in drinking water in one gulp, and it can cause choking of the esophagus, and it weakens the muscles and nerves, and it's also detrimental to the liver and the stomach, okay? Because everything's being impacted when there's such a sudden, gulping of water or a sudden stream of water. It does have an impact. Imagine if, you're pouring it onto yourself. You want water to hit you gently. If you're, for example, taking a shower, you don't want this battering of water, right, suddenly out of nowhere. So that's how you want to be on your digestive system as well. You want to be gentle and you want to be kind to yourself. Okay, so um uh, uh, don't drink water only in one breath, but drink it in 2 or 3 breaths. And again, a lot of a lot of cultures do that. It's written in a lot of old scriptures and in a lot of religious texts as well. And going back many centuries, where people would take a breath and then take a sip and then breathe and then take another breath and then drink, rather than, and just close your mouth so that air doesn't go in. And another thing to mention that's really important, that people, how they're drinking is wrong, is that this breathing onto your water. Now, we have bacteria in our mouth, and also, you've got stuff in your nose, so you don't want to be breathing that onto the cup. And, especially, for example, you might be sharing the cup, or whether you do or you don't, right? That's not the point. The point is, it gives you a chance to breathe, your body to be in a state of relaxation and to drink, and it makes it easier for digestive system, and not to breathe the bacteria onto the water. Okay, so science shows that exhaling CO2 into the glass of water causes it to react and form carbonic acid that can disturb that internal environment and cause a change in the pH levels. So and it can lead, basically what I'm trying to say is, it can lead to acidosis. This is basically a condition where the blood has too much acid or a very low base, and often causes a decrease in the level of pH of the blood. Okay, again, I can put a link in the video. Okay, and the final reason is what I was saying about, I mentioned Dr. Joe Dispenza. Now, an amazing scientist, and what he's done so much work with the brain and how our thoughts affect us and the neural networks, and just, he's done hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands by now, of brain scans of how, our neural networks are, how we've set them and the patterns, right? So what I wanted to say, I mentioned his name earlier. Do have a look at some of his work if you're not familiar. He's also in What the Bleep, as is Dr. Emoto. And if you're really wanting to change, and if you're somebody who's into really transforming your way of life, and you might meditate, you might be aware of mindfulness, you might be eating lots of healthy foods and still be thinking, why am I still overweight? Why don't I lose weight? I'm eating all this stuff and, plant-based or vegetarian or vegan or so forth, and but you're not losing weight. And I found that this is one of the reasons. You could be eating healthy, but what you're saying, like the words that you use to talk to yourself, and especially the drinking, how you're drinking water wrong, has a massive impact. Now, as I was saying with Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about, breaking the habit, right? And amazing books that he's written. You can find, audiobooks as well. And if you're really wanting to change the brain pattern, like in lots of cultures, what they do is they eat and drink with their right hand, right? Like the old tradition of wearing the wedding band on the left hand is because it's kind of like linked to the heart, even though in Holland they wear it, in many cultures they wear it on the right hand. So I don't know where the reasoning is in that. But the heart is actually more in the center rather than the left. So yeah, I think a bit of sort of mythology and folk sort of medicine and so forth going on in there. But the point is, with Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you really want to break the pattern that you've already set, if you're somebody who's left-handed, or you eat with your left hand and you wash yourself, your lower regions with your left hand, which is what most of us do, right? Train yourself, give yourself a month, like 30 days, ideally 60, like 2-3 months would be ideal. But if not, start with 30 days and just see, I'm not going to give the game away, but just see honestly the impact that it's going to have on your life. If you're somebody who's left hand, try eating with your right hand, right? And use your left hand to wash with your lower region, or when, you go to the bathroom and so forth, right? And if you're somebody who brushes your teeth with your left hand, this is just something different, right? Try brushing, like Dr. Joe says, with your right hand. And if you drink water with your left hand, try drinking it with your right hand, so that you break these patterns in your brain. So, okay, what with all that ways of drinking, the wrong way, now let's have a look. You might feel overwhelmed. Please don't. But let's look at, what can you do? How can you drink water the right way? Okay, so the amount of water that you need to drink really is dependent on where you live, the climate, what type of work you do, your body composition, so your weight, your height, and so forth, man, woman. So it really is dependent on you, right? One great way is to look at like what your urine, right? If it's really light in color, you can like check this up, and you can get Google, like you can look up a chart and it will show you like, the different colors of urine. If it's obviously really dark, you're not drinking enough. And if it's really dark brown or red, then you really need to go to the doctors because there's something wrong. And you've got an issue there, okay? But if it's really light, what you're doing is you're over drinking and you're diluting all the minerals. Now, bear in mind what a lot of us doing with this marketing, because it's been marketed to us that we need to drink more. The stomach is only this big. And ideally what we want is 1/3 air, 1/3 food, 1/3 water, okay? And I forgot to mention, before, like, give yourself an hour to 45 minutes before eating, like, to drink. Okay, so drink something an hour to 45 minutes before if you need to, and an hour to 45 minutes afterwards. Avoid drinking whilst you're eating. Okay, because basically what you're doing is you're sending water and food down, and what's happening is the food is then rotting inside the stomach, a bit like when you create a compost. When you overload it with water, it just rots, rather than allowing the body, the stomach, to digest the food and pass it through. So avoid drinking water before, an hour before, and avoid drinking an hour after, and then during as well. Okay, and remember to sip. And that really is so that the body, you can grab most of the nutrients, all of the nutrients, the stomach can grab them to go into the blood, and then it can dispose of what it needs to, and then you can have water before or after. Okay, and I've heard that, and to be honest with you, that's how I learned, because I had so many issues with my stomach, ended up, with so many issues, and didn't realize what it was. And so I believed into the marketing hype as well. So that's one of the things you want to have a look at. Look at the color of your urine to notice if you're drinking too much or too little. And also you'll be able to tell if you tug on your skin, if it's too dry, you'll be able to feel it. Okay, so when you wake up in the morning, that's another thing you want to do. You want to drink water. Okay, you can put a bit of lemon or something in it, but drink water then, right? A glass full, like at room temperature, and just sip it. Okay, just to flush your body, right? Before brushing your teeth. So you're hydrating your mouth. Okay. And if you're really struggling, like your mouth, you feel like, oh, I need to drink water straight after you've eaten, try flushing your mouth. Okay, try getting rid. That's what I do. I sort of rinse my mouth out afterwards, so get rid of all the food, because you don't want to brush your teeth straight after, but you can, to give it moisture in there, and so it's yeah, to get the saliva working, right? And so what should you drink in? Often people are drinking in plastic bottles and so forth, but the best thing is to put water in a cup and drink it that way. So I hope that's been really useful. And any questions, just pop them in the comments. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. All right, take care. Bye-bye.